Hey guys, this is Hakim. Welcome to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to build this to-do app using React Native. So let me walk you guys through the app. So over here, I can add a to-do. So I'm going to add a to-do. I'll call it second task. So if I click on this button, it's going to add the to-do, and also we can mark the to-do complete. So if I click on this done button, it's going to strike the to-do, and also it's going to hide the done button, which signifies that this to-do is completed. And also I can delete the to-do. So if I click on this delete button, it's going to delete the to-do. So if I try to add a to-do without a text, it's going to throw an error. So I'm going to click on this add button without a to-do. So as you can see, we have an error. Please input to-dos. And also we can clear all the to-dos. So if I click on this button, it's going to prompt a message, clear to-dos. And if I click yes, it's going to clear the to-dos. So the to-dos are actually persistent. So if you reload the app or close the app and open it back again, we are still going to have the to-dos. So let me add random to-dos and reload the app. So over here I have some to-dos. So if I reload the app, as you can see, we still have the to-dos. So this is what I'm going to build in this video. So if you are brand new to React Native, I would highly recommend you to watch the video to the end, because we're building the app from scratch. So I'm going to walk you guys through on how to install the several packages we are going to make use of in the project. So the package we are going to make use of is the vector icon for the icon, and also Async storage to save the to-dos in the user's device. So I'm making project file available for you guys to download. So I'm putting link in the description down below. So if you like this kind of video, please like and share. And also if not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you get notified anytime I upload the next video. And without further ado, let's start coding. Okay guys, so welcome back. So we'll start by creating the project. So to create the project, I'm going to run the command npx react-native init, and we are going to call the app to do app. So I'm making use of the CLI, so you can make use of expo. We are still going to arrive at the same destination. So you are going to wait for it to create the app. So while waiting, let me walk you guys through the package you are going to need. So we're needing the vector icons for the icon. So this is the page for the vector icons. So we are going to install it after the app is created. And also we are going to make use of the async storage to save the to-dos to the user's device. Okay guys, so it has created the app. So right now we are going to cd to the to-dos app directory. So now we are going to install this package. So first install the vector icon. The links to this package are going to be available. You can check them in the description down below. I'm going to first install the vector icon. So I'm going to get the npm command. I'm going to paste it right here and hit enter. So right now it's installing the icon. I'm going to go to the async storage page, and I'm going to get the command for the installation also. So let's wait for it to install. It has finished installing the vector icon. I'm going to paste in for the async storage, and also I'm going to install the package. And also it has installed the async storage package. So right now we are going to run the app. But before running the app, we are going to make sure that all the packages are linked. So to link it, we are going to say React Native link. So this is going to link all the assets. So right now we are going to run the app. So I'll say npm run Android, because we are working with Android. Let me bring up the emulator. So now we have the app running. So we are going to get rid of the default code that React Native generates for us. That is the code that is rendering all these components over here. I'm going to open the project folder, and inside the folder I'm going to open the app.js. So this is where the code lives that renders these components. I'm going to get rid of some code, so I'll get rid of these comments, and also I'm going to get rid of this. I'll get rid of this. I'm going to leave just the safe area view for now. Then let's get rid of this section component. We'll remove this type. So I'm going to get rid of all these styles, and also let me remove this type for the safe area view. So right now we should have a blank project. So let's bring in the style sheet, and sorry, not here. So we have the style sheets. So right now we have a blank project. So I'm going to start by designing the app. So I'm going to bring up a screenshot that we are going to make use of for the reference. So start by working on the header. But before we do that, we are going to style the save area view. But before we start the save area view, we are going to define some colors for the app. So say const, I'll call it colors, which is going to be a primary color. And also we are going to define the white color. That's all for the color. So now we are going to work on the save area view. So for the save area view, we are going to give it a style. And for the style, we'll give it a flex of 1. So I want it to take the full width and the full height. Then we'll give it a background color of white. So get it from the colors object and say dot white. So that's all for the save area view. So now we'll start working on the header. So for the header, we are going to add a view. So add a view, and let's make sure we import the view. And for the view, we are going to give it a style of header. So say style, and say styles dot header. So over here, we are going to define the style. And for the header style, we are going to give it a padding of 20 pixels. So say padding and give 20. Then we'll give it a flex direction of row. So we want it to position the item from left to right. And also we give it align items of center and a justify content or space between. So say align item center. Then we'll say justify content or space between. So that's all for the header. So now we are going to add the items inside the header. So the first item we are going to add is the title of To-Do app. So this title over here. Then we'll add this trash icon. So for the title, we'll add the text component and we'll import the text component. Then over here, we'll add a text of To-Do app. Then we'll give it a style. For this style, we'll give it a font weight of bold, a font size of 20 pixels, and a primary color. So say color and say colors dot primary. And that'll be all for the text. So now we are going to add the icon for the trash icon. So over here, we bring in the icon. So we are going to import it from the vector icon. So over here, we'll bring in the icon. So say import icon from React Native vector icon, and we want to get the material icons. So this should be, so for the icon, we are going to give it a name of delete. So we want the delete icon, and also we'll give it a size of 25 pixels. Then we'll give it a color of red. So say color, and we'll give it red. So this is the icon over here. Now we are going to add this input and this add to do button. So to do that, we are going to add a view. So this view is going to have a style of footer. Basically, these both components are going to be inside the footer, similar to the web. So over here below the header, we'll add a view, and we are going to give the style of footer. So styles dot footer, and now we are going to add the style. So for the style, we want it to have a position of absolute, because we want to position it absolute to the save area view component. So bring in the footer style, then give it a position of absolute, and want to position it to the bottom. So we give it a bottom of 0. Then let's give it a color of white. Let's say colors dot white. So we have the footer. So actually it's not showing up because it has the same color with the background. So we are going to give it a width of 100%. It's going to take the full width, and we'll give it a flex direction of row, align items of center, and also a padding horizontal of 20 pixels. So say padding horizontal, and give 20 pixels. And I think that's all for the footer container. So now we are going to add the input and also the add to do button. So inside the footer, we are going to add a view. So this view is going to have a style of input container. So say style, and say styles dot input container. So I'm going to get rid of this curly brace and also this. So now we are going to add the style. So over here we'll add the input container style, and for the style we are going to give it a background color of white. So say background color, and say colors dot white. We'll give it an elevation of 40. So this is going to allow it to show up. Then we'll give it a flex of 1. So say flex, and with this flex I think it should show up. So we still don't have the view. That's because we're not giving it a height. So we are going to give it a height of 50 pixels. So now we are going to give some margin. So we give it a margin vertical of 20 pixels. So the view is actually coming up. Then we are going to give it a margin right of 20 pixels and a border radius of 30 pixels. So say margin right 20, border radius 30, and also we give it a padding horizontal of 20 pixels. That will be all for the input container. So now we are going to add the text input. So inside the input container, we'll add the text input. So bring in the text input component. So let's import the text input. Then for the text input, we are going to give it a placeholder of add to do. So say placeholder, say add to do. So we have the placeholder over here, and that's all for the text input for now. So now we are going to add the add to do button. So to do that, we are going to add a touchable opacity component, and inside the component we are going to add a view. Then we'll give it a style of icon container. So for the icon container style, we are going to give it a height of 50 pixels. We'll give it a width of 50 pixels also. Then we'll give it a background color of primary. So say background color, and say colors dot primary, hit save. So we have the icon container over here. So actually this should be inside the footer, not outside the footer. So we have it next to the input. So now we are going to give it some border radius and also some elevation. So for the border radius, we are going to give it 25 pixels. So say 25. Then we'll give it an elevation of 40. So now we have the cycle button. So we are going to add a justify content of center and align items of center. So this is to center the icon inside the container. Okay, inside the icon container, we are going to bring in the icon component and we'll give it a name of add. So we want the add icon, hit save. So we have the add icon over here. So we'll give the color, I'll give it a white color. Then we are going to give it a size of 30 pixels. So say size, and we'll give it 30 pixels. That's all for the add to do button. So right now we are going to add this list to the page. So for the list, we are going to create a component called list item. But before we do that, we are going to add a flat list component. So this is going to be used to list the to-dos. So over here, we'll bring in the flat list component, and let's make sure we import the component. Then for the flat list component, we are going to pass it some props. We are going to give it a data of to-dos. So this is just an array of the to-do which we are going to create right now. So I'm going to give it to-dos. For the data, we are going to create a state. So this state is going to hold all the to-dos. So over here, I'm going to create a state. I'll call it to-dos, and we're going to add a function to set the to-dos. So say set to-dos, and it's going to be equals to react.useState. So we are making use of the useState hook. Then by default, we are going to give it an array with few to-dos. So I'm going to add an object. So each to-do is an object with an ID, the to-do, and a complete prop. So the complete prop is either false or true. So this is going to use to check if the to-do is completed or not. So I'm going to create the first to-do, and I'll give it an ID of 1, and I'm going to give it a tags. So this is going to be the to-do, and for now I'll give it a tags of first to-do. Then over here, I'm going to give it a completed props of true. So we have the first to do. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to change this ID to 2. Then I'll change this to second to do. So these are just the static to do. So once we start implementing the functionalities to add the to dos, we are going to make the to dos dynamic. So for now, we are going to make use of these hard coded to dos. Inside the flat list component, we are going to give it a render item of list item. So this is the component we are going to create now. So we'll call it list item, and it's going to take a props of to do. So say to do, which is going to be the item. So I'm going to get the item, So now we have the component. So we are going to create the component. But before we do that, we are going to style the flat list. So bring in the content container style props, and for the style we give it a padding of 20, and also we are going to give it a padding bottom of 100 pixels. Then we are going to get rid of the scroll bar. So say show vertical scroll indicator, and we are going to set it to false. So that's all for the flat list component. So right now we are going to create the list item component. So over here below the to-dos, we are going to add a component called the list item. So say const, I'll say list item. This is going to return a view. So for the list item view, we are going to give it a style of list item. So say styles.list item. So I hit save. Can't find the variable list item. Let me hot reload it. So the error is gone. Now we are going to add the style for the list item. And for the list item, we are going to give it a padding of 20 pixels, or give it a background color of white. We'll say colors.white. Then we'll give it a flex direction of row, and also we are going to give it an elevation of 12 pixels. Then over here we'll give it a border radius of 7 pixels and a margin vertical of 10 pixels. We'll say border radius 7 pixels, margin vertical, then we'll give 10 pixels. And that's all for this style. So right now I'm going to go back to the component. So for the list item, we are going to add the text. So to add the to-do text, let's first bring in the to-do. So bring in the to-do, and over here we are going to add the view. So this view is going to hold the text component for the to-do text. So we are going to bring in the to-do text by saying to-do, and we'll make sure that the text is available. That is the tags. We are making use of the optional chaining, and we are going to call the tags props. So over here, as you can see, we have the to do. So now we are going to style the text. So for the text, we are going to give it a font weight of bold. Then we'll give it a font size of 15 pixels. So font size, we'll give 15 pixels. We'll give it a color of primary. And also for the text decoration, so we want the to do to get strike if it's completed. So to do that, we are going to add a condition. So we are going to check if the to do is completed. We are going to give it a line true for the text decoration, else you are going to give it none. So over here we'll add the text decoration line props, and we are going to check if to do dot completed, that is true. So we'll give it line true, else it's going to be none. Hit save. So now if the to do is completed, it's going to give it a line true, else it's going to be none. So I'm going to change this to false. So as you can see, the second to do does not have the strike. So now we are going to add the buttons, this done icon and also this delete icon. So to do that, outside here we are going to add a touchable opacity component, and we're going to give it a style of action icon. So say style, we are going to add a square bracket because we are going to add multiple style. So say styles dot action icon. So now we are going to add the style, and for the action style we are going to give it a height of 25 pixels. We'll give it a width of 25 pixels also. Then we are going to give it a background color of red. So say background color. Let's give it green for the done icon. So this is the icon over here. Give it a justify content of center, and also align items of center. So this is going to center the items inside the touchable opacity component. So now we'll give it a margin left of 5 pixels and a border radius of 3 pixels. So say margin left 5, border radius, then give it 3 pixels. And that's all for the first button, but the button is actually close to the to do text, so we want it to be at the right over here. So to fix this view wrapping the to do text, we are going to give it a style, and we'll give it a flex of 1. So this is going to stretch, and it's going to fill up this space, which is going to push the button to the right. So right now we're going to add the icon, and for the icon we are going to add a done icon. So give it a name of done. So we have the icon, you give it a size of 20 pixels, then a color of white, and that's all for the icon. So now I'm going to duplicate this, then we are going to modify it for this trash button over here. So for that, we are going to give it a name of delete. So we want the delete icon, then we'll give it a color of red. So to do that, we are going to add an object, and over here we'll bring in the color props, then pass in red. This should be background color, not colors. So now we have the trash button. So we only want the done button to show up if the to-do is yet to be completed. So to do that, we are going to add a condition. Over here, we are going to add a condition. So check if the to-do is not completed, we are going to show this done button over here. So over here, we'll say if to-do is not completed, then we'll render this button. So let's take a look at the app. So right now, as you can see, we only have the button over here because this to-do is yet to be completed. So that's all for the designing of the app. So right now we're going to start adding the functionalities to add the to-do, delete to-dos, and others. So first, we add the function to add a to-do. So to add a to-do, we are going to create a function called add to-do. So say add to-do. So in order to add the to-do, we want to get the user input. Then we are going to create an object. So this object is going to take a unique ID, then the text from the user input, and also the completed, which we are going to set to false by default. Then we'll take that object and append it to the current to-do, which is going to display it over here. So now to do that, we have to create a state which is going to hold this user input. So over here above the to-do, I'm going to create a state. Then this state, I'm going to call it text input. So this is basically going to hold the user input. Then we'll say set text input. So this is going to be used to set the input, which is going to be react.useState. So by default, it's going to be an empty string. So over here, the text input component, we are going to add the unchanged text prop. So this fire an event which return the value that the user input. So we'll take this value and we'll set it to the state. So to do that, we'll say unchanged text. So we are going to call the set text. So say set text. Then we are going to pass in the text. So I'm going to get the text from here. Then we pass it to this place. And also for the value, we are going to set it to the text input value. So this is just to make sure that this input text is always equals to the state. So right now, if we type, it's going to update the state. So right now, I'm going to go back to the add to do function. And for the add to do function, once the user click on this button, we are going to take the text from the state, then we are going to create the object and add it to the current list of to-dos. So to do that, we are going to first hook up this to do function to this button. So over here, we are going to add the onPress props. So say onPress, and I'll bring in the to do function. So if you click on this, it's going to fire this method. So to show that it's actually working, we are going to console log, and let's console log the current text input. So right now, if I click, as you can see, we have this current text over here. So now we are going to get the text and we are going to add it to the to do. So to do that, we're going to create a variable called new to do. So say const new to do, which is going to be an object. It's going to take an ID. So the ID is going to be unique. So I'm just going to use the math.random method to generate a random number. So if this is to be a real world project, you might want to use some package which is going to create a unique ID for you. Or if you are going to save the to-do to the back end, in several cases, the database is going to handle the ID for you. So now we have the ID. So I'm going to add the props of tags, which is going to be the text input. That is the text input in the state. And also by default, we'll set the completed to false. So we've created a new to-do. So now we are going to add it to the old to-do. So to do that, we're going to call the set to-dos method. So this method is going to be used to set the to-dos. So which is going to be an array. So we are going to take the previous to-dos. That is these to-dos over here. These two to-dos over here. So this is just a hard-coded to-do. So by default, this array is going to be empty. So it's going to start adding it. But for now, we have two to-dos already. So it's going to take this array. And basically, we want to copy the array. So say to-dos. Then after we copy the array, we want to add the new to do. So right now I'm going to hit save. So if I click on this, as you can see, we have the to-dos. So if I click on it, it's going to continue adding the to-do. After we add the to-do, we want to clear the user input. So to do that, all you have to do, we'll say set text input, and I'm going to set it to an empty string. So hit save. So right now, if I click on it, it's going to add the to-do, and also it's going to clear the input. But we don't want the user to be able to add an empty to-do. So as you can see right now, if I click on this button, it's going to add a to-do with empty value. So we don't want that. So to fix that, we are going to check if the input is empty. If it's empty, we are going to throw an error, else we are going to add it to do. So over here, I'm going to get rid of the console log and add the if statement. So I'm going to check if the text input is empty. If it's an empty string, we are going to show an alert, else we are going to add the to do. So I'm going to bring in the to do inside the else block. Then over here, we are going to use the alert API. So say alert.alert. I want it to have the title of error. So this is going to signify that there's an error. And over here, we are going to give it a message of please input to do. So say please input to do. So I hit save. So now I've tried to add an empty to do. It's going to show please input to do. And if we input a to do and we add it, it's going to add it to do, and also it's going to clear the input. So that's all for the add to do method. So right now we're going to work on the complete to do logic. So to do that, we're going to create a method called mark to do complete. So say const mark to do complete, and this method is going to take in an argument of to do ID. So I'm going to make use of this to do ID to mark the to do complete. So now I'm going to take the method and I'm going to hook it up to this button over here. So over here we'll add the onPressed props, and over here we are going to bring in the method. So I'll bring in the method and we are going to pass in the ID. So to get the ID, we'll get it from the to do object and we'll say .id. So now if I come back to the mark to do complete function and I console log the to do ID. So if I click on this, this should log the to do ID. This should be console log, not confirm. So as you can see, we have the to do ID. So in order to mark the to do complete, we are going to map through the to do list. Then we are going to check if the to do ID is close to this to do. That if we get the particular to do we are looking for, we are going to modify the object and return it. Else we are going to return the item. So over here we are going to create a variable called new to do items. So say const new to dos, which is going to be to dos dot map. So we are taking this to do list over here, this to dos over here, and we are going to map through it. So I'm going to add the function, and here we are going to bring in the item. And while mapping, we are going to check if the to do is the to do we are looking for. So to check if it's the to do, we'll say item dot id is equals to this to do ID. So if it's true, we are going to create a new object. So we'll return a new object. So we are going to spread the item. Then we are going to set completed to true. Else we are going to return the rest items. So say item, hit save. So right now we have the new to dos. So over here we are going to set the state. So set the to dos, and we are going to pass in the new to dos. So right now if I click on this, as you can see, it has strike the to do, and also it has hide the done button, which signifies that the to do is completed. And that's all for the mark to do complete. So the next step, we are going to delete the to do. So to delete a to do, we are going to create a method called delete to do. So say delete to do, which is going to take an ID also. So say to do ID, and over here we are going to filter out the to do. So to do that, we'll create a new variable called const, and we'll call it new to do, which is going to be to dos. So we'll take the current to dos, then we'll filter. We want to filter out this to do. So basically we are going to return all the to do excluding this to do. So to do that, we are going to bring in the method. Then we'll say if item.id is not equals to the current ID, and that's all. So this expression over here is going to return all the whole to do's excluding to do with this ID. So over here we are going to set the state. So set to do's, and we are going to bring in the new to do's. So right now I'm going to hook up this to do method over here. So inside the list item component, so I'm going to add the onPress to this delete button, and we are going to pass in the method. Then we'll give it the ID. So say to do.id, hit save. So right now if I click on this should delete the to do's. So as you can see, we have the to do's deleted. And that's all for the delete to do method. So now we are going to add the function to clear all the whole to do's. So over here we are going to create a function called clear to do's. So say const clear to do's. So all what this function is going to do is going to set the to do to an empty array, which is going to clear the to do. So I'm going to take the method. So right now I'm going to hook it up to the trash icon over here. So inside the header, so this icon will add the onPress, and we are going to bring in the method. So if I click on this, as you can see, it has cleared the to do, but I want it to pop up the confirmation message. So to do that, we are going to bring in the alert API also. Then we are going to give the title of confirm. We'll give it a message of clear to do's. So say clear to do's. Then we are going to add an array. So over here we are going to pass the object for the buttons. So the first button is going to have a text of yes. So once we click on this button, it's going to call the set to do. So I'm going to take this, and over here on the onPress, I'm going to call this, hit save. So for the no button, it's going to do nothing. So I'm going to bring in the text. I'll give the text of no. So right now if I click on it, it's going to show the pop-up, and if I click on this, it's going to clear the to do. So let me add new to do's. So I'm going to click on it, and I'll click on yes. So as you can see, I cleared the to do's. So that'll be all for adding the to do, deleting the to do, and clearing the to do. So right now I want to be able to save the to do's inside the user device. So to do that, we're going to bring in the Async storage package. So over here I'm going to bring in the package, and right here I'm going to create a method called save to do to users device. So over here I'll create a method. I'll call it save to do to users device. So this method is going to be a sync method. So I am going to add the async keyword, because this is going to return a promise. That is the async storage method is going to return a promise. So over here we need a to do's. So we need the to do's that I want to save to the user device. So say to do's, and I'm going to go back to the package page. So we're going to go to the usage. So to make use of it, so I'm going to get this. Then over here I'm going to paste it. So this async storage has a method called set item. So this method takes in the key. So this key is going to be used to retrieve the data later on, which is a string, and also it takes in the value. That is the value you want to save. So over here we are going to create the value. Also make sure these value are always string. So if you have an array, you have to stringify it, or if you have an object, you have to stringify it. So it only takes a string. Over here we are going to create a variable called stringify to do's, and right here we are going to pass in the to do's. That is this to do's we want to save, and over here we'll give it as the value. Then we are going to give it a key of to do's. So I hit save. So we've called this method, going to take the to do's from the state, and it's going to save it to the user's device. While for here, if there's an error, I'm just going to console log the error. So now I want to be able to call this method anytime the to-dos change. That means we want to save the to-dos anytime we notice that these to-dos over here has changed. So to do that, we are going to make use of the React use effect, and for the dependency list we are going to give it the to-dos. So bring in the to-dos. Anytime this to-do state changes, is going to run this method, and inside the function we are going to call this save to-do to users device method. If we add a to-do, so let me add a to-do, it's going to save the to-do. So I'm going to reload it. So actually having two to-dos, that is the hard-coded to-dos. So I'm going to get rid of this. So we have no to-do, add a to-do. I'm going to reload this. So as you can see, we have no to-do. That's because we have to retrieve the to-dos from the user's device. Then we are going to set the to-dos inside the state, which is going to automatically render the to-dos over here. So over here, we're going to create another method called get to-dos from user's device. So below the save to-dos, say const get to-dos from user's device. So this is going to be a sync method also, and we're going to add the try catch. Then over here we are going to get the to-dos. So to get the to-dos, we'll say const to-dos. Then we are going to await it. I'll say async storage dot get item, and we are going to pass in the key. So we are going to make use of that key to retrieve the to-dos, which is the to-dos key. So right now, if we have a to-do and we call this method, it's going to retrieve the to-do. So in some cases, we might not have a to-do, so we are going to check for that. So say if to-dos is not equals to null, that means we have a to-do. We are going to do something over here. So over here, before we do that, let's console log the error if there is any. Console log error. Then over here, we are going to take the to-do and we are going to set it to the to-do state. So to do that, we'll say set to-dos. Then we'll set the to-dos, but we have to convert the to-do back to an array. So to do that, we'll say json.pass. So this is going to take the to-dos. So previously we stringified the to-dos, so we want to get the original data type. So that's why we are passing it back to its original data. So now I want to be able to call this method just once. So to do that, we are going to make use of the use effect again. So to react.use effect, I want to call this method just once. So we are going to pass in an empty array, and over here we are going to call the method. You can see we have the to-dos listed. So right now, if I add another to-do, I'll call it Todo to-do save. So I'm going to refresh it. So we should have 3 to-dos. So actually we are having just 2 to-dos. That is the previous to-do saved. That is because we didn't pass in the to-dos over here. So I'm going to pass in the to-do. So this method is going to take the to-dos, then it's going to save it. So I'm going to hit save, and let's add the to-do again. So Todo to-do. So we have the to-do. So now I'm going to reload the app. So as you can see, we have the to-do. So I'm going to delete the second to-do. We have first and third to-do. I'll reload the app. So we have first and third to-do. And also, if I clear the to-do, I reload the app, we no longer have a to-do. So that will be all for the app. But before we go, we are having no background at this footer. That's because this should be a background note color. So say background color, hit save. So right now we have the background. So we have the several to do. I can delete a to do. I can mark to do complete, and also I can clear the to do. And that will be all for the video. If you like this kind of video and find it helpful, please like and share. And also, if not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you get notified the next time I upload a new video. And I'll see you in the next video.